Well. Welcome back, everybody, from the land of YouTube. We are starting another one of these. Per usual, it takes a few moments for the TikTok folks to get in here, and I'm just stamping up some likes so we can get this party going. Just figuring out my gosh darn settings here. All right. Isn't it nice how all of the YouTube people get that special show? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends. My name is Josh, and I am very glad that you have made it into the room today. As I begin to speak, I would ask you to tap up some likes. That would be much appreciated. My name is Josh. I was a porn addict for 24 years. I was also an alcoholic for 22 years. That's right, porn addict 24 years, alcoholic 22 years. I have been completely clean and sober of both alcohol and porn for the last 11 years. And I have been relapse-free the entire time. Thank you for the likes. Hello. I appreciate it if the others of you would tap up the likes too. Anyway, like I said, I've been clean and sober for 11 years from porn and alcohol. I have written 4 books about pornography addiction and betrayal trauma, which is what happens to the partners of porn addicts. Most often ladies, but not always. So now I make my living for the last 5 years full-time as a porn addiction coach, as a betrayal trauma coach, and as a disclosure specialist. That means that I can help the addict, I can help the partner of the addict, and I can help the relationship if there happens to be one. Now, if you are just an addict who is without a relationship, that's perfectly fine. I can still help you. If you were betrayed by somebody who you left a year ago, but you still can't recover, I can still help you. Because really what life comes down to is a matter of self-care. And what are you doing to take care of yourself? What's ironic is that our 10, 12, 14-year-old selves were actually exercising self-care when we became addicted. We were trying to find a way to deal with our problems. We were trying to find a way to deal with stress and anxiety. We just happened to choose a very, very poor one. Thank you very much for following me, Cray says 87. I would appreciate it if anybody else who's not following me does. I'd also appreciate it if you tapped up a few likes. That gets us in the early goings of a live like this is. We're just 3 minutes in. This lets people know that this is something worth listening to. Please share it if there's anything else that you would like to, if you think I say something different, you want to alert the world, I certainly would not fight you on that. And if you have, obviously, the most important reason we're here, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you want to share your story, be it of success or be it of failure, if you want to talk about how to rebuild a relationship, if you want to talk about how to avoid relapses, I am here for you today to talk about what you want to talk about. So all you have to do is put it into the comments, and I will happily answer your questions, give you an informed opinion if I can, commiserate, celebrate, whatever has to happen. But I'm going to go ahead while you, Word Alive says, I have an issue with a question mark. I don't know if you have an issue. You have to let me know if you have an issue. Really, we have to decide for ourselves if we have an issue. And what do you do if you decide you have an issue? What do you do if you decide that this has gone too far and you need to take care of this addiction? Well, the first thing that you have to do if you're going to quit, is you're going to have to figure out why you must quit. What is it about pornography, about masturbation? What is it that has the potential to change your life in a way that you don't want it for the rest of your life? Maybe you're going to lose the partner that you're with if you don't take care of this problem. Maybe you don't have a partner and you fear you will never have a partner if you maintain being an addict of pornography. Maybe you're worried about your mental health. That makes sense. Maybe you're worried about your physical health. That makes sense. Maybe that's your must. Maybe your must is that you're starting to behave or act in ways that are not like you. For instance, maybe you are using pornography at work. Maybe you are doing it at a restaurant or at a friend's house or school. All of these things, I have talked with people about. You have to find your individual must. What must you take a look at, and what must you address before the porn does for you? And the only way to deal with that thing is to get rid of the porn. You've got to figure that out for yourself. But I also, part of why I'm here is because I help people with that too. Word Alive says, I struggle with my temper and eating too much. Well, what I would suggest is that you are eating likely because it calms you down. It makes you feel good. It regulates your behavior. And then I would look at, why do you get so upset? What is it you're really upset about? If you struggle with your temper a lot, it's probably not the thing that you're arguing about at the moment. Is there something that really is driving you, that really is a core wound for you? Like people don't listen to you, or your opinion means nothing? Do you have some kind of negative self-image that's reinforced and gets your temper going? You need to really take a look at this, Word Alive. You may have to work with someone who can spot this stuff better because you're in the middle of the storm. Sometimes it's hard to tell what's going on with you. Thank you for those of you who are tapping up the likes. I appreciate that so very much. And thank you thank you for following me. Thank you for the great questions. Joey V says, thinking of hitting on my babysit. Well, that's not even a word, Joey, or that sentence doesn't make sense. But if you are here to be funny, if you are here to make jokes, you're going to just get, banned. This is not the place to do that. If you want to be a troll, there's a million other rooms. So there's your one warning, and then we'll get rid of you. Daily Vlogs 24, it can cause people to be depressed and see the world less bright. Absolutely. It does a number on your brain. It actually causes brain damage. Go and take a look. Of course, once you're done here, take a look at, in Google, just Google the diseased brain of addicts, or the brain of a porn addict, or the brain of a porn addict versus other addicts. You are going to see a brain that does not look healthy. When your brain isn't healthy, when it's not functioning the way it's supposed to, you're going to be depressed. That's a symptom. The world is going to be less bright. You're absolutely correct, Daily Vlogs. That's a hell of a statement you made, because it's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Just want to make sure that I'm not missing anybody's comments. I will get to everybody's comments. If you've been here before, you know I fall behind. I think my whole issue is I've always used it to solely suppress my emotions. That's why I can't stop. Well, then, what do you think the solution is, X? Thank you for following me, by the way. It seems to me that you're using this as a buffer, as a shield to not deal with your emotions. You're really not addicted to the porn. You're addicted to the chemicals that make you feel better when you're having those emotions. That's why you use the porn. It's not like you really like to see people get it on more than everybody else. It's that you use the pornography as a way to regulate your emotions. And here's the thing, you're not alone. That's pretty much why everybody becomes an addict, because they're trying to cope with life because they're trying to, control their emotions, because they don't feel like they have power in the way that they assume other people do over themselves. So absolutely, that's your whole issue. And what you need to do is recognize the porn use is just a symptom of the bigger problem, which is your emotional dysregulation. You're going to need to deal with reducing the behavior, but your bigger task is going to be to work with somebody who can help you with your emotions. I know I'm falling behind. Going to catch up with everybody here. What's the healthy amount, says Joey? Well, the healthy amount is whatever amount does not cause you to be compulsive with your behavior, does not cause any issues with your life, does not cause any drama, does not change your life for the negative. For some people, that's 0. Some people can get away with 1, 2, 3 times a month, but that's ultimately up to them. There is no specific healthy amount because ultimately using pornography is not healthy for you. The best you can hope for is that you don't end up an addict. But there's no amount of porn that's going to improve your health. So it's not healthy. The most you can hope for is that it doesn't cause a problem. I do it when I'm bored, says Burr, and that may be the case, but I think that's an excuse you're using. I think that you could find plenty of things to do when you're bored. You just choose not to. In fact, when you tell yourself you're bored, that is your indicator that it's time to use porn. And it takes away the responsibility of deciding you want to use porn. If you can tell yourself, well, I would do anything else in the world that I'd like, if I could figure it out. But there's nothing to do. There's just nothing to do. So I guess I have to look at porn, which I bet is what you do every time you tell yourself you're bored. You say, I am bored, as a way to remove responsibility from using porn. Just like people who say they have to use it to go to sleep at night. Just like people who say, well, I was just looking at social media. Is it because you don't want to sit down in front of your device and type in the name of a pornographic website? You don't want to admit that's what you're doing. It's easier to make some minimization of, well, I wouldn't use porn, but the situation is that I have to. Some justification of using porn. The world is a giant place. There's always something else for you to do. You can't just do it when you're bored. I think you're using that as an excuse. Next time, wash your dishes, go for a walk, go see a movie, learn to play the trombone, draw a picture, call your grandma. There are so many other things to do in this world. You should never be bored. Really take a look if that's an excuse or not. Hi, ND. Leslie Marie, thank you for all those likes. I appreciate it. I know we got there this month. I know we got almost to 5,000 because of you so quickly. So thank you for the likes. What about people that quit, just get escorts and waste all their money away? That can be another kind of addiction, definitely a sexual disorder. That would be more intercourse addiction. But I work with many, many of my clients who are porn addicts, have got to the point where they have started to do that, or they are strongly considering going to escorts. It can either be a separate issue, intercourse addiction, or it can be the progression of the pornography addiction. That no longer is just viewing, doing it for you. You need to interact. I see this with a lot of people where first you're looking at porn, then you're with porn you can interact with. OnlyFans, cam sites, these kinds of things. And then after that, you make the move off screen and try to get involved with somebody. Now, the person who makes the guy who goes off screen and hooks up with someone, that's probably only about 10% of my clients. I have not had any female clients who have at least told me that they have hooked up with men off screen. But what's interesting is that statistically, more female porn addicts act out with a strange person or a non-common partner outside of the addiction. We can make up many reasons for that. Thank you for following me. It's Tuesday. Hope you're still here. I know I'm falling crazy behind. I apologize. I apologize very, very, very much. I'm going to catch up with everybody. If I miss your comment, I am sorry. I know I'm way behind. How do I stop suppressing my emotions and do something else as a substitute? You probably have to talk to somebody like myself who's a coach or a therapist, or find an expert who can help you with this. I don't know what your emotions are. I don't know what your life would what would work as a substitute in your life. So it's very hard to say here. What I would suggest is, if you want my help, I'm more than willing to. Go to the front page of my bio, click on the links, and you will find a link. You'll find a link tree, and the top one says "Schedule with me." That's how you can figure out if you want to have a session with me. That's how you can get the details. Same goes for anybody else. If you're interested in a one-on-one session, go ahead and click on the link tree in the bio. But it's just so hard to give you those answers right here because I don't know your life. That's why we have our one-on-one sessions. I feel such pain with my stomach area when I go days without it. It's like all my emotions surfacing. Maybe you should let them. Do you know what they're about? Let them surface and start writing about it. What are you feeling? Instead of suppressing, we need to know what we're dealing with. What are you feeling? What happened to you? What is it that you're trying to suppress that is causing literal physical pain? And that's something I've heard of plenty of times, is that it causes physical pain. What are you running from, X? What are you running from? Eric Watson, Eric Watson, thank you for following me. Appreciate that very much. If you followed me and I missed it, I'm sorry. Why don't you find a hobby? Well, there's a great suggestion from Nicole. Find a hobby. There are a million hobbies out there. And a hobby doesn't have to be necessarily collecting something. It doesn't have to involve a great investment of money. Watching TV can be a hobby. Taking walks can be a hobby. Find other things to do. Volunteer. Is there an animal shelter you can help at? Can you help kids learn to read? There's a lot you can do to give back to this world to feel good and to get those feel-good chemicals in a way you don't have to use porn. What isn't, I'm guessing you're going to say what isn't healthy about it. Just about everything. Just about everything. It causes brain damage. It causes you to not be able to regulate your emotions. In many men, it causes erection issues. In a lot of our young people, it causes completely toxic ways of viewing the opposite sex. And not just guys to girls, but also girls to guys. We are becoming a sexually unhealthy society because of this. I have TikTok to keep myself entertained. There you go. There's another way to not have to use. Watch TikTok. And you know what? If you get something that triggers you, hold down the screen and say not interested. Or just make sure that you are not following anything you don't want to see. Make sure you're not liking anything you don't want to see. And admit to yourself you don't want to see it. If you get some kind of sexual trigger from seeing somebody on the screen, well, make sure that you don't watch very long, because the algorithm knows, even if you don't follow, even if you don't like it, if you spent 5 minutes looking at someone's page, they're going to send you more of that. Because ultimately, social media just wants to make money on you. They don't care whether you're looking at jiggly girls or guys with great abs, or kitten videos, or cops arresting people, or people making recipes. TikTok, all these corporations don't care what you look at. They don't. They just want to make money off you. So if you're getting this stuff in your algorithm, there's certainly a reason behind that. Let me quickly just say hello to those of you who are new here. My name is Josh, and I was a porn addict for 24 years. I was also an alcoholic for 22 years. I have been clean and sober now for 11 years, and that includes being relapse-free the entire time. About 8 years ago, I got into this business. First, I was an author and a presenter. I gave lots of speeches at colleges, churches, libraries, that kind of stuff. Like I said, I wrote 4 books, all available on Amazon. When the pandemic hit, I had to stop the presenting, the guest speaking. That's where the money was at. And a friend of mine who's a therapist said, you should try coaching. Lo and behold, I love coaching. It's my calling. This is what I should have been doing my whole life. Or I guess I probably had to be an addict to do it. But I have been certified. I am absolutely qualified to do this. I work in the areas of porn addiction, betrayal trauma, and disclosures. I've done this for the last 5 years. If I can help you on a one-on-one level beyond the generalities I'm speaking about here, please check the front page of my profile. In the bio, there is a link tree. Click on that, and your first link is how to schedule with me. Have you guys just tried not watching it? Well, yo-yo, that's not exactly how addiction works. Hello, Madeline Jane. Wondering how partner regains happiness and healthy mental health after watching. It's a process, and what he ultimately has to do is not just stop watching. Stopping watching is like going on a diet without figuring out why you got obese in the first place. Yes, it's great to stop the behavior, but when you stop the behavior, you're just fasting. You're just starving yourself. You're starving yourself of porn. Ultimately, you're going to need to eat. People who just go cold turkey and all they do is stop watching and just white knuckle almost always fail. What you must do is figure out, why did you become such a major porn user? Why did you become such an addict? What happened to you? What happened when you were young that caused the pain that led to you discovering pornography helping you with that pain? And then because you didn't have the right problem-solving skills, you didn't have the right anxiety or stress management skills, you ended up not getting better and falling into the porn trap, because that gave you chemicals that made you feel better, but it didn't actually fix anything. You still have to go back and fix that trauma. Trauma just being a medical term for pain. You still have pain inside. If you were a little kid and you saw your, parents die, you probably still have a lot of pain inside of you. That's trauma. And you've got to deal with as much trauma as you can and get as much trauma out of you as possible. That way you won't need this stuff to regulate. You will develop healthy coping methods, healthy behavioral management skills. That's the key. It's not just the watching. Let me keep going. God bless you, man. Thank you, Eric. God bless you, too. Hey, Sandra, glad you're here. Hey, Teresa, just saw you're here. Thank you all for all the likes, Sandra. Thank you all for all the likes, Leslie Marie. Having my 2 best people who give likes in here certainly is one of the things that is going to shoot up our likes, and I see that we're already at 6.7 thousand. That is awesome. Thank you. All right. If you have any comments, I quit watching, though. Good for you, Just Joy. That is awesome. Cleophas, thank you for the flower. Thank you very much. That's kind of you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you quit watching Just Joy, and I hope that you're not an addict, so this is the end of the road. If you are an addict, you'll probably need to take some extra steps and work with somebody to deal with why you became an addict. What happened in the beginning? El Presidente, you're going to get banned if you keep acting like a dumbass. So fair warning. Thank you for all the likes, everybody. Wow, it's been a while since anybody commented. Hey, Teresa. Just saw you said hello. Hey, Smoothie Buns. How's it going, Coach? How's the kittens? The kittens are fine. We still have 3 of them. 2 of them went back. I'm also, there was an emergency situation this weekend, and I am now fostering 2 adult dogs for a couple weeks. I'm fostering a couple adult dogs. They're in the room with me right now. That's why I'm in a different room right now, is because we have to separate them from the rest of the family. But thanks for asking. Why does it ruin mental health for users? Because essentially the chemical balance that leads to good mental health in your head gets totally thrown off. You are supposed to be able to create dopamine, a certain amount based on certain activities. Oxytocin, you create a certain amount based on certain activities. Same thing with endorphins. Same thing with oxytocin. Same thing with a bunch of other chemicals that are all up there. But what happens is that usually when we're young, right when we're forming the addiction, our body recognizes, oh, we can get all of these chemicals, all of these feel-good pleasure chemicals, we can get by using this. And what is this? This is naked people doing naked things while I'm allowed to touch myself. It just feels good all around. My eyes like it. My bits and pieces like it. And afterwards, I feel like I'm on top of the world. I feel great because I was just touching myself, right? I feel great because I was just looking at naked people, right? Well, no, that's not what's happening. You feel great because you've got those chemicals coursing through your head. But you're not supposed to create that many chemicals in that amount in that short of time. You are basically hacking your brain. You are basically short-circuiting your brain. You are causing an overload, a toxic amount of chemicals to hit your brain. When you have that many chemicals hitting your brain, it's going to affect your physical health and it's going to affect your mental health. And your brain, because of this phenomenon, I guess, this condition known as neuroplasticity that we all have, our brain is constantly evolving to try to give our body what it needs. And what you do by using so much pornography and causing that rush of chemicals is that you send the message to your body repeatedly, we need these chemicals to feel good. We need these chemicals to feel good. We need these chemicals to feel good. So ultimately, your body and the neuroplasticity, which arranges your neurons, which are like, arranges the neural pathways, which are like highways in your mind for all the information and everything else your body has to do both internally and externally. It starts to deliver messaging. We want more of these chemicals. We want more of these chemicals. We want more of these chemicals. And that's when you become addicted. That's when you absolutely become addicted. So I hope that explains it, Madeline. That explains it, Madeline. It affects the parts of your brain chemically that manage mental health. Fostering animals must be so fun and exciting. Good for you. That's so nice. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. It is great for my mental health, especially being up in northern New England where it's been snowing every other day this week, where it's 10 degrees outside. I hate snow. I hate cold weather. I have had some very rough winters mentally here. And one of the things I've learned is taking care of animals. And I have a lot of animals, but taking care of other animals short term really is good for my heart, really is good for my soul, really is good for my brain. So I lean into it and I do a lot of that. Yeah, it takes a lot of my time. Yeah, it does cost some money. Not a lot. The shelter helps out, but it just does so much for me. Leslie Marie, can I PM you with a question? Absolutely. Absolutely. Any of you can. How does that cause ED? Great question, Rob. That's a great question. Ultimately, what in this version of ED, which is known as porn-induced erectile dysfunction, your brain is screaming for not just pornography to feel better. Your brain is actually screaming for new sexual imagery. And that's one of the important parts, new. Let's say you've got a partner. You've been with that partner for, let's just say 2 years. Most people on here are under 35. So let's just say you've only been with your partner 2, maybe 3 years. Okay, so 3 years. How many hundreds of times have you seen your partner naked? Probably quite a few. No surprises there anymore. Still fun to look at, but no surprises. How many hundreds of times have you had sex or other intimate relations with that partner? Probably hundreds of times if you're average. So why do you like to use porn? Well, one of the big reasons that our brain likes porn is because it's constant new imagery. Okay, I'm looking at this, I'm done this. Okay, I'm done this. Okay, I'm done this. Your brain knows that new imagery is going to cause the biggest chemical reaction. And you need that chemical reaction to get an erection. So you are constantly pumping your mind full of new imagery because that's what's going to get you going. That's what feels best. And then here's your partner. You've seen them naked. You've had plenty of sex. You know how that story goes. There's nothing new about it. Doesn't mean you don't love them. Doesn't mean they're not the one for you. They're not your life partner. But what you've done is program your mind to only respond to new imagery. So when your partner, flesh and blood, is standing there, ready to go, you may not be able to because seen it, done it, need something new. That is the essence of porn-induced erectile dysfunction. Hey, Tyane, good to see you. It's a bad circle. You feel good, then you feel shame and guilt and go back again. Exactly. It's the same way I was with drinking. Drinking turns me into an asshole. Drinking gives me a hangover. The next day I feel bad and I usually have to make apologies. So why the hell do I do this 4 or 5 times a week? Why the hell, after everybody goes to bed, do I drink if I wake up feeling like crap? Because, like you said, it's a bad circle. Same thing with my pornography use. Same thing with almost everybody's pornography use. Let me take a sip of my beverage. Auth is here. Oh my God, thank you. Does avoiding porn for a long time make me more confident to achieve goals? Generally, people who quit report higher levels of confidence. And I'll admit, I'll be happy to say, I am a much more confident person in life now than I ever was before I quit. I quit porn and alcohol the same day, and I've not relapsed in, almost 11 years. It does build confidence. To get healthy, to set a goal, to reach that goal, absolutely, absolutely will make you more confident. I'm just trying to find another comment. I'm falling behind. I apologize. I don't mean to. Lil Rob, thank you for following me. Appreciate that. Royce Brenneman, thank you for following me as well. You too, Adamola Bello, thank you for following me. Madeline says, online when it shows studies, why does it say people only watch once a month? Because that's how we measure the baseline of use. For instance, one of the statistics that I cite often is that of men in this world who use the internet, 90% look at porn at least once a month. Just over 60% of women who use the internet look at porn once or more a month. Because the difference between not looking and once is that you look. It's like saying, I had one meal today. Did you eat today? Yeah, you had one meal. So I think all that means really, Madeline, is a way of saying non-user to most minimal user. Obviously, someone who watches once a month is not an addict. These are just numbers to establish how many people actually use. And once a month is not an addiction, but it does show that you do use pornography. Just found out my husband had what, Jen? Thank you for all the likes, everybody. Thank you for sharing this if you do. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're not following me, please do. Swagman, how'd you stop? Ultimately, I reached that point in my life where I not only wanted to stop, I needed to stop. There was no other option for me. I said to myself, I must stop. I'm going to lose my relationship with my wife if I don't. If I lose my relationship with my wife, she's going to take the kids. I'd already lost my job at that point because of my drinking and my porn use. I didn't want to lose my personal life too. So I made the decision to put my ego aside, to put my shame aside, to put everything that had stopped me from seeking help aside and get the help I needed. And not let, understand I didn't have the answers. Understand, just quitting wasn't obviously the answer. So that's what I had to do. How can I quit doing it? Well, Patel, the first thing you have to really do is understand it. Do you know all your triggers? Do you know all your urges? For the next week, whether you use or not, for the next week, write down every urge. Write down every trigger. Write down the time it happens. Write down where you are. And write down what was happening in the 10-15 minutes before, how you were feeling. If you can start making that list, do this for a week. Whether you use or not, do this for a week whenever you get an urge. And then at the end of that week, you're going to look at that list. I bet you're going to find some patterns you didn't know existed. And then once you understand your patterns of use, you can go ahead about changing them. And then, of course, there is also the trauma work. How do you stop is important. But why did you begin is even more important to figure out. And that's what you have to be willing to do. Because the only people I see recover long-term do that early work and figure it out. I see people go 3 months, 6 months, a year without using and then fall off the wagon because they didn't do the deeper work. They're just fasting. Just not looking at it is not healing. Not looking at it is just fasting. It's just denial. It's just pushing it away. That's not how you heal. Hey, Gannon, I lasted 5 days without corn, but then back at it. Well, then you have to look at what happened on that 5th day. Why did you cave? What worked on days 1 through 4 that didn't happen on day 5? Or what happened on day 5 that didn't happen on the other days? Did you start getting voices? Was somebody nasty to you? Did you get triggered by seeing something specific? What made day 5 different? That's the most important piece. What made day 5 different? And if I can help you figure that out at all, if you want some one-on-one help, I'm here for you. Go to the front page of my profile, click on the links, go to the link tree. First link is for my sessions, and it explains how to book with me. That's true with everybody here. If you want some one-on-one time with me, go click on that link inside the link tree that says book with me, and you'll get all the answers that you need about how to book. Moving along here. Thank you all of you who are liking the live. I appreciate that. 39WM. Not unsure what the WM means. I watch every single night and still do it with the wife. I recognize I have a problem. And you know, the thing is, Bones Art, I was very much like that. Most addicts have a real reduction in their libido. I was pretty lucky. And of the 24 years I was a porn addict, I think my libido only took a hit in the last maybe year or 18 months. My wife could not easily spot I was a porn addict because one of the symptoms of having a reduced libido didn't happen to me. But I also, and I'm guessing like you, Bones Art, I knew that the pornography serves one master, and having intercourse and making love with my wife is a totally different thing. Yes, they both involve naked people. Yes, they both involve an orgasm at the end to signal you're done. But aside from that, watching pornography as an addict and having sex with your partner as a loving partner, they're almost different as day and night. I know people who are not addicts, who just use recreationally, use pornography as a surrogate. It's an aid to get off. But that's not why addicts truly use. It's not that we want to get off more than anybody. It's not that we like body parts and genitals more than anybody. It's that we have the brain disease of addiction. And it truly is a disease because it changes the chemistry. It changes the chemistry. Hey, Trey, how are you? What age did you start? I was 12 years old, and I entered rehab at 37. So I did it for 24 to 25 years. I've never actually done the math. I just say 24 years. And how often did I do it? Well, in those 24 years, there were times where I did it every day. Rarely did it twice a day, but there are a lot of stretches I did it every day. There are also stretches like when I got a new girlfriend, or when I just got married, or when I was crazy busy, or I wasn't stressed. I didn't have anxiety when the use lowered, and there were times when it went up. So over 24 years, I would guess I probably averaged 5 times a week over the 24 years, but I'm not exactly sure. From what I've heard, it's crazy to think how the brain convinces people to relapse after a few weeks. Absolutely, Madeline, because your brain is wired that way. Think about this. How do you know you're hungry? Because your stomach sends messages to your brain. How do you know you're thirsty? Messages to the brain. How do you know something doesn't smell good? Messages to the brain. Our brain processes everything that the rest of our body takes in. We taste with our tongue, but we process the taste in our brain. And that's where all the real work is done. And when you have, on a neurological level, changed your neural pathways, when you have basically set up your brain to be asking for these chemicals, to be demanding these chemicals, you think you can just stop looking at porn and your brain is going to just stop looking at those, just stop begging for those chemicals? It doesn't. For most of what I have read, it takes 3 to 4 weeks for your brain to even start to change in the slightest way. So you've got to get through many weeks of your brain telling you, use. Don't you want to use? Don't you want to use? This will make you feel better. Use. And it's difficult to not do it. And then if you go 2, 3, 4 weeks and then you relapse, most people report, and this is true with every addiction, when you relapse, you go right back to where you were, like no time was missed. That's how things go. I want to make sure I don't miss any comments. Offline Peggy, one of my triggers is boredom. How do I change that? Well, you need to recognize that's an excuse. It's an excuse. How are you bored, Peggy? How are you bored? Why can't you take a walk? Why can't you watch a movie? Why can't you read a book? Why can't you call your mom or your grandmother? Why can't you go to the mall or the park? Why don't you go on YouTube and learn how to play a song on the piano or learn how to fold origami? Why don't you paint a picture? Why don't you wash your floors? There is 1,000,001 things you can do instead of being bored. I'm going to say that boredom isn't your trigger. I'm going to say that you convince yourself that you're bored, because that makes it allowable to use porn. Very few people, especially the addicts among us, just want to sit down. Thank you for following me, Alexa. Very few people just want to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to use porn. Pornsite.com. Well, that's not how it works for a lot of people. They don't want to do that. They want to... I'm bored. There's nothing to do. I'm bored. I'm bored. I can't just sit here. I'm bored. I guess I'll use porn. I mean, there's nothing else to do, right? When the moment you told yourself you were bored, you knew you were going to use porn. You're just trying to gaslight yourself. Why are addicts such great gaslighters? Why are we such great liars, great manipulators? Because we learned to do it to ourselves. You're not bored. You flat out want to use porn. You're not just sitting down for a few minutes because you want to look at social media. You want to look at social media till you get triggered so you can use porn. But not say that's what you wanted. You go to bed at night and you think you have to use porn to fall asleep? There's nobody in the history of the world who has had to use porn to fall asleep. There's not somebody, in some country somewhere who's been awake for 3 years because he stopped using porn. That's not the way that it works. It's just not the way that it works. So what I would suggest is that you look a little bit deeper and find out what really is your trigger. It's not boredom. Boredom is a way for you to remove the responsibility so you don't feel as bad for choosing looking at porn and probably masturbating as an actual coping mechanism. Thank you for muting people off. It gets challenging when there's this many people in here. If you don't mind, what's your story? When did you last do it? Sure. Very quickly, I became a porn addict at 12. Like everybody else, I became a porn addict because of trauma. In my case, it was sexual and it was mental/emotional. When I was 12 years old, an older cousin showed me hardcore porn for the first time. Fell in love with it immediately. I was an addict immediately. Yes, I was interested in what those people were doing on the pages of that magazine, but there was just this warmth and this flow that came over me that was, intoxicating, calming. I knew that I had found something that was going to be part of the answer to my life. The only other time I felt this was 2 years later when I got drunk for the first time. So for 22 years with the alcohol and 24 years with the porn, these were my go-tos. Whether my life was going great, whether it was going horrible, didn't matter. I had these two things to make me feel good until they started destroying my life, as addictions will eventually do if you don't take care of them before it's too late. Lost my job, nearly lost my family. Had to go get help. Had to talk to therapists, had to talk to coaches. That's why I became a coach, was because I got so much help from my coaches. In some ways, I got more help from my coaches than I did from my therapists. That's why I became a coach. When did I last do it? Great question. The last time I drank was on the 20th of March, 2014. And I don't know the exact date of my last time looking at porn. I'm going to guess it was the 19th, but I count March 20th, 2014 as my last day of use. So that's my story in a nutshell. You can also read all my books to get my story. Moonman, thank you for following me. Are you Jewish? No. Interesting question, but I'm not. What are the benefits of never watching? Well, it's like the benefits of never smoking. It's like the benefits of never drinking, the benefits of never gambling, never using drugs. The toxic chemical release in your body doesn't happen. Now, for pornography, what else does? Well, you're probably not going to have erectile dysfunction if you're a guy, at least. Well, I mean, if you're a girl, that's a given. But if you're a guy, you're not going to have erectile dysfunction because of porn. Benefits of not watching, especially in younger people, are that it doesn't become your sex ed, because it has been sex ed for our youngest people for the last 20 years. There's very few people under 35 years old who can remember a world before the internet. If they do, it's because their parents just didn't have it. And very few people, who are under 30 remember a world before high-speed internet. These are the things that caused all these issues. Never watching, you're not going to get fantasies. You're not going to objectify. It's just far healthier. Rice Atchison, thank you for following me. Wolf of Wall Street reference. Oh, you listen to me talk, you're going to get all kinds of references from movies and whatnot. Thank you for the mute off. I hope you're having a good day. I hope the baby's doing well. My buddy showed me when I was 10 and I was hooked, but I'm over 4 months off right now. It's life-changing. Good job, Noah. Good job. But make sure you're doing that other side of things. That other side of things being, why did you become an addict? You've got to answer that. You became an addict because something happened when you were young that you couldn't manage. And it could have been something huge. You were assaulted. You were molested. It could be something minor. Some kids teased you at school. It really isn't a scale for this. It's how it affects you individually. And that's what we have to remember. It's not like if we each break our arm, it's going to take around the same amount of time to heal, around the same amount of time for physical therapy. We're talking mental things here. So it's going to take some time. So it's great that you're 4 months off, Noah. I think that's fantastic. That shows a lot of guts. But make sure you go back and you do the work to find out, why did you end up this way? Because you've got to get rid of that pain, that old trauma that still lives in there somewhere. That's why you keep using. Oh, I mean, you've stopped, but yeah. Unknown 584, thank you for following me. I've quit vaping and alcohol, but this addiction has been way harder. Well, but you know what? There's somebody out there who can't quit alcohol, but has quit vaping and porn. Or there's somebody out there who quit alcohol and porn, but not vaping. It's different for everybody. But you can do it. You can do it offline, Peggy. You can do it offline, Peggy, I promise. You just have to create a strategy. And the thing is, vaping and alcohol, sure, you quit them, but the chemicals you got from them, the intoxication you got from them, you probably just moved it over to pornography. So instead of having to quit 3 addictions in a row, well, you never really quit you quit the behavior of vaping, you quit the behavior of alcohol, but you didn't quit the behavior of addiction. And this being your last addiction to deal with, that's why it's so much more difficult. At least that's my guess. Jen, my husband watches stuff. I'm sorry about that, but doesn't want to do this stuff in real life. A lot of people who are pornography addicts have no libido. I mean, that's the case with most addicts. Ask addicts of drugs. Ask addicts of other behaviors how much sex they want. I've heard so many stories of women in their early 20s performing sexual acts on their boyfriends who are in their early 20s while they're watching video games. Because video games are crazy addictive. And they cannot get this guy to put down a controller where he's driving through a city shooting guns, or he's fighting warriors, or whatever the hell he's playing game. He can't stop this fake world on a screen to be with his partner. They're stuck in fantasy. They're stuck in escapism. And you end up being one of the casualties and one of the victims. And I'm sorry that's happening, Jen. I hope you can have some conversations with him about it. And if those conversations are difficult or that you get nowhere, this is part of what I do as a coach. I work with couples to get you to a spot where communication is better, where you're solving problems together, where, does he not want to do this stuff in real life because he's embarrassed, because he's shamed? Or does it go deeper? He's afraid if he does this stuff with you, then he will just view you as another piece of pornography. There can be a lot going on there, Jen. There really can. Jay Cham, thank you for following me. Where was I? Great job, my guy. Happy to see more content on this topic. Thank you. Alice is bored. My husband says he's quit, but I don't believe him. It isn't that easy, right? Correct, Alice, it's not. It would be nice if it was. And the thing is, if he was not an addict, if he didn't use this for the reasons that addicts use it, yes, you can quit. It's like saying, I'm never going to eat grapes again. I'm not addicted to grapes. Grapes are okay. But I'm never going to, if I never had to eat a grape again, that'd be fine. Same thing with like Pepsi or Coke. I'm not a big fan of brown soda. If I could never have it again, that would be okay. Because I'm not addicted to that stuff. What would be hard for me? Not having caffeinated drinks. I'm a caffeine fiend. It's not just, I stopped. Because my body is going to go through withdrawals when I stop. My brain is going to be like, hey, where's our caffeine? Where's our caffeine? Because I'm addicted to caffeine. So ultimately, is it that easy? He may be telling himself that story because he's great at telling himself stories. But, yeah, I would want him to talk to somebody, Alice. Or have both of you talk to somebody. Just to figure out where things are. And if he says everything is cool, he doesn't need to, then say, well, please do it for me. Let's do it together. And let's just find out what's going on. PJB 43. Hey man, great stuff. Been clean for over a year now after 20 years of addiction. That is awesome, dude. I had over 20 years as well, and now I'm almost in another month. I'll be 11 years clean. And hey, Oth, remember back in the day when 10 years is coming. Now we got 11 years coming. It is not that easy, Alice, but as PJB is showing us, it is possible. It is possible. Madeline Jane says, it is a definite that almost everybody's husband watches once in a while. Yeah. Statistics reveal that. If your husband uses the internet, he is likely one of the 90% of men who look at pornography at least once a month. Doesn't mean he's an addict, doesn't mean he's a bad person, doesn't mean he doesn't want to be with you, just means he uses this once in a while. Statistically, you are correct. Almost everyone's husband will watch once in a while. That's why you need to have conversations about this stuff. That's why you need to set expectations about this stuff. That's why communication is so big. I became a porn addict a pornography addiction coach and a betrayal trauma coach at basically the same time. And I recognized while it's great I'm helping the addict, while it's great I'm helping the partner, there needs to be help for both at the same time. And that's why I became a disclosure specialist. Because you need to be able to communicate and get on the same page. If he says, who cares if I watch once or twice a month? I'm not an addict. He's probably right. He's not an addict. But if you say, I'm your partner, this hurts my heart, I don't like you looking at this stuff, and if you don't have an addiction, clearly you don't need to, will you please stop? These are the conversations that I got trained as a disclosure specialist to have with people, because they're some of the most important ones. They're some of the most important ones. Jay Chim, how do we know with that when we know? What do we do with that when we know when the time was? You work with somebody. You work with somebody to clear out that trauma, to clear out those bad thoughts. You work with somebody to make connections in your life. Okay, so my trauma was that I was bullied by all the pretty girls and the popular girls in elementary school. So I avoided those girls in middle school and high school. And I saw they just got more obnoxious and meaner. So now in life, I may specifically go after quiet girls. I may specifically go after wallflower types. Because women who are loud, women who are aggressive, scare the hell out of me. Well, Elle, I'm 30 years old. Why do certain women scare the hell out of me? You may not know why. But you use porn a lot, and these women are the kind of women you look at in porn. Why is that the case? Well, you come and talk to somebody like me, and usually we can figure this out pretty damn fast. Thank you for following me, Noah. Thank you for following me, RJDJZXHDHD. I bet you didn't have to fight anybody for that name. We figure out addiction was long in our life before the alcohol or drugs. That happens with a lot of people, absolutely. That is the story for a lot of people. I am falling so far behind here. What time is it off? I need help with my addiction. Well, you can set up a session with me. If you want to set up a session with me, if anybody here does, one-on-one, love to talk to you, love to help you out. Some people see me one time and that's that works for them. Some people I have had as clients for years just because they've been, they've moved on from porn, but they just like to have a check-in. So 222, thank you. Thank you very much. Feels like I've been doing this longer. Ultimately what you need to be doing here is, you need to figure out, why do you want to quit? What is the must for quitting? And are you willing to learn about recovery? Because just quitting, just not looking at porn, just not masturbating is not recovery. Pornography addiction, both looking and touching, this is not something that is like a light switch. This is something that is a symptom of a bigger problem. Why did you become a porn addict? Why did you realize that you needed this stuff to help you get through tough times? That's because something happened early on that you didn't develop the behavior management, life management skills at that point to deal with it. So using pornography and the chemical burst that comes with using pornography in your brain, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, all those happy chemicals, that is what you're after. That is what you're totally after. So the best strategy to quit is, yes, you got to get the behavior under control, but you've got to figure out, how did you get here in the first place? Hayden Rund, thank you for following me. Says, dang, that hits hard. Yeah. Very true. My husband is quitting garden and porn, and he has low libido. Garden. Is garden a code word for something? Wise man. Yeah. I don't know if people who know me would go that far, Noah, but I know a little bit about one thing, and I'm sharing it here today. Please tap up those likes. If you like something I'm saying, please share it. If you are not following me, please do. Love to have you. And if you need any one-on-one time with me, visit the front page of the profile, click on the link tree. The first link says schedule with me. You can get all the information on how to book an appointment with me. Ponyboy MMA, thank you for following me. Jaron says, and I know I'm falling behind. I keep doing that. I will catch up. Hang out long enough for me to get to your comment. In the mornings, I have no drive to do anything at all until after I rub one out. Any tricks to this? Yeah, get out of bed. Get out of bed and start your damn day. Have a cup of coffee like the rest of us. You have no drive because you've programmed yourself to have no drive. The story you have told yourself is, I can't get out of bed unless I masturbate. Well, that story is fiction. Because there is nobody on earth that actually needs to masturbate to get out of bed. I promise you that. There is no magnificent study. If this is actually true where you can't do anything until you do that, you need to go see a doctor. Or are you just being lazy? Are you just telling the story you need to use? You can't have a good day if you don't use. You can't have a day of energy and a productive day unless you use. If you want to have the best day possible, you better use. Well, that is unequivocal horseshit. It's not true. It's just not true. Get up out of bed and start your day. When the alarm goes off, get up. Go take that shower. Go eat food. Go hang out with whoever you live with. Your parents, roommates, a partner. You need to change your morning routine. Your morning routine is part of the problem. So change it. Do you desired after all this time? I don't know what you mean, Jen. Do you desired after all this time? I don't know what that means, Jen. Bean says, not really. I just focus on something else, then I stop wanting to, but it's a battle for sure. Absolutely, it's a battle, Bean. But it's a battle you can win. I quit porn and alcohol at the same time nearly 11 years ago. I have not relapsed once. If I can quit two things at the same time, anybody can quit one of them, tapering off or cold turkey. I'm proof this is possible. 24 years I was a porn addict and I quit. 22 years I was an alcoholic and I quit. If I can quit these things at the same time, you can quit one of them. I am living proof that this is possible. Hey, what about people that start the addiction young? Well, Tricksta, I don't know what young means to you, but I will tell you that of my clients, I think 95% start before they are 15 or 16, like I did. A lot of times it's right around puberty, right before or in the early stages. And you're not quite old enough to have all the problem-solving skills of a quickly changing world. So, yeah, I got to tell you, when I have somebody come and talk to me and say, I didn't become an addict till I was 20, that's more concerning than somebody who tells me they became an addict when they were 14. What? They are either wrong about when they became addicted, or they had some very delayed reaction to their trauma. But it is almost always young. Madeline says, okay, I'm just not going to dig through the phone and just keep a happy relationship and pretend not. Good Lord, why would you do that? No, Madeline, no. I mean, I don't care about his phone. Either dig through it or don't. But you think you can pretend nothing's going on and be happy? Is that what you dreamed about when you were a little girl? I can't wait to ignore the problems of me and my husband. No, Madeline, you have to face this. This is your responsibility too. Look at it this way, Madeline. And I want a lot of the partners who are betrayed out there to hear me. Imagine you're driving down the road. Your husband or boyfriend, whoever your partner is who has the addiction, he's driving. Now, let's say he had a few too many drinks. You didn't have any, but you're still riding there. He goes careening off the road, flips down the side of a hill 4 or 5 times. The car comes to a rest. He pulls himself out of the wreckage. Not even a darn scratch on him. Meanwhile, your legs are pinned under the car. When the fire department and the ambulances come and pull you out of the car and cut you out of that car, your legs are mangled. Whose fault was the accident? His. Who's going to need all the operations? You. Who's going to need the physical therapy? You. Who's going to have to learn how to walk again? You. Is it fair? Hell no. That's not fair. That's not justice. It should be his legs that are messed up, since the negative behavior was his. However, you can't just sit there and go, well, this isn't fair, so I'm not going to fix my legs. Because then you'll never walk again. You have a responsibility to yourself to fix yourself. You have a responsibility to yourself to have the best possible life you can have, Madeline. And if this guy's being a douchebag, whether he's an addict or not, and not caring what you think, that's not a relationship that you want to continue with. You either need to fix and change the relationship, or you need to figure a way to move on. But to just pretend it's not happening, that's how we create trauma. Nope, not dealing with this pain, putting it on a shelf. That's how we create trauma. Don't become further traumatized because of this, Madeline. When I was young, I walked in on my dad watching it while my mom was at work. That shit changed me. I bet it did. Thankfully, I never had that happen, but I have heard from a lot of people, and especially a lot of young ladies who, opened up a door slightly and saw their dad using or saw their brother using. And unlike in porn, when that's sexy and, it's just disturbing and confusing when you see it in real life. I don't care if it's your stepdad or not. It's freaky. But PJB43, thank you for following me. Thank you for following me, Nathan Newcomb. Any advice for a wife with a husband who's a porn addict and is quitting, but it's hard for me to trust? You probably need to do some betrayal work on yourself, Alice. You need to talk to somebody about these feelings. You need to address where you are with trust for him. I know I talk a lot about pornography addiction here, but about half the work I do is with the partners, usually female, who are betrayed by this. And you need to work through some things. You need to process some things if you're going to trust again. And maybe you're not going to trust again. Maybe you are. but you need to work through it. How you doing today, Coach? I'm good. I'm getting a little tired here of this live stream, so I'm probably only going to go a few more minutes, and then I'm going to start my day. I've got 2 sessions and then a podcast to do, so it gets busy after this for a while. Day 158, no corn. Appreciate your live streams. Well, thank you. I try to do them as much as I can. And if I can help you in any way, one-on-one, you know how to book a session with me. Go to the front page, check out the link tree. And if you want to follow me on any social media, if you want to see my YouTube page, on my YouTube page, I post a lot of these old lives. So if it's one day when you're like, oh man, I could really use one of his lives right now, you can go onto YouTube and you can choose from, I think there's about 15 or 16 of them up right now. I usually take the best 2 or 3 of the week and put them up there. I'm a week or 2 behind, but maybe, maybe that can help in a pinch if I'm not around. Alice, garden is code for smoking the weed. I did not know that. I did not know that. Why, thank you for sharing that with me, Alice. I learned something new today. Hey, user 481. I've been corn-free for 2 months. How long do the urges last? Well, the urges will last, while your brain is healing, and that can take a while. That can take 6 months to 2 years. Also, are you doing anything besides just fasting? Are you just not using? Or are you working with somebody to find out why did you use in the first place? What role did trauma play in this? What role has trauma played in your life? Why have you continued as a porn addict when so many people let it go years before you? And maybe use recreationally now, but that's not how you did. And you did this for so long that 2 months later, you're still having urges. Also, keep in mind that it is somewhat normal to have urges. Whether you're heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, or something in between. We all have sexuality within us. We all feel horny once in a while. That's completely normal. What's not normal is waking up in the morning, not feeling horny whatsoever, but still feeling like you need to use just to get your day going. So I would say, user, that, I'd ask if you're doing any of the mental health side of things. Sounds like you're doing the physical, which is good. And I also say corn-free is great. Are you masturbation-free? That's a big, big part of it. Are you masturbation-free? And that's kind of weird. We go into the question, what if you jack but without the corn? Not going to work. Not going to work. I almost feel like I should let you take over the speech off. I won't even go into the speech right now. If everybody knows the giraffe speech, so just tell yourself that speech right now. You can't do it because you are still processing images in your head. When you masturbate without looking at porn, you are likely looking at sexual scenarios in your brain. And you can say, yeah, but I'm not looking at them with my eyes. Doesn't matter. Your brain processes the images. Your eyes just look at them. Your brain processes them. Like, think about what your grandmother or your grandfather looks like. So you just pictured that in your head. Does it mean you didn't really see them? Well, you didn't see them with your eyes, but you did see them with your mind. If you were masturbating and still thinking about sexual imagery, the problem is in the brain. It's not in the eyes. It's not in your genitals. It's not in your hand. Problem's up here. And that's where you have to remove the imagery from. So whether you're looking at it or thinking about it, you can't be masturbating with it. Thank you for sharing the live, Max2 Shiesty. Why is it a problem, though, if it doesn't cause harm? How do you know it's not causing harm? Can you tell me what levels of dopamine and oxytocin you release in your mind? Hey, thank you for the lightning, HVM. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. If you believe that pornography does not cause any harm, I would urge you to go watch my videos. Pornography is causing harm in so many aspects of society right now. Justin Quettervers, what is your opinion on women and dark romance books? I consider it to be no different than porn. Absolutely, Justin. Absolutely. If you are getting sexual imagery in your mind and you are having a chemical reaction to that sexual imagery in your mind, masturbation or not, it is not healthy. Now, if they're not an addict and they're reading, if they read one of these once a year, if it doesn't cause these kinds of fantasies or thoughts, then it's just like other porn for people who are healthy. It's certainly not going to be an activity that improves your health, but it might not hurt it. It depends who you are. But the best thing to do is stay away from it. But yeah, literature, music, art, all of these things can be triggering. Absolutely. Can you have a healthy relationship with it? No. You can have a relationship with it that doesn't harm you, but those are the people who use once a month, maybe twice a month. If you're using 2-3 times a week or more, no, there's no healthy relationship with it. That's unhealthy. Well, I only use it 3 times a week. That's still damn near 160 times you do it a year. Can you stop using for 2 weeks without feeling urges? If you can, I wouldn't be too worried about you. Most people can't. What about self-trust? You have to expand on that a little, HVM. Let me know what you mean by self-trust. 3 days clean. Good job, Joseph. Good job. I'm sure you probably feel better about yourself. And you're not one step closer or one step further away from being with the kind of women you want to be with, because that has nothing to do with pornography. And while we do need to do some work on the kind of women you want to be with, you'll see that pornography neither helps nor hurts you get to your goal. It's not a factor. So why is it a factor in your life? Because it's not getting you any closer to your goals. And it's actually getting you further away from them when you think about it. But good for you. Can I still hook up with my girl while quitting? Absolutely. Absolutely. As long as she says yes. Yeah, because it's the reason that you use is because you have this setup in your brain that is begging to use. You have changed your brain as an addict that's begging to get to these chemicals. Having intercourse with your girl is not going to have those chemicals burst through like they do when you use porn. You actually tap into some other chemicals as well, like testosterone, when you are with your girl. Being with your girl is healthy sexuality. Using porn is not. So if you're quitting, yeah, absolutely. Hook up with her. How do I reverse 30 years of damage? You go through the process of learning to quit the behavior, not looking, not touching. And you also have to recognize what happened 30 years ago. That's how you're going to reverse the damage, and maybe not reverse it, but learn how it's there and learn how to change it. You can't rewind the clock 30 years. When people are like, how do you go back to the way you were? I became an addict when I was 12. I don't want to go back to being 11. So don't think about reversing this. Think about it as moving beyond it. And 30 years is a long time, but you start with what happened way back when. This is what I got trained to do because I went through this process as an addict and I recognized just how freaking powerful it was. You need to figure out why. Why were you addicted for 30 years? How did it start? Why did it continue? What was the trauma you were running from? How did not letting go of that trauma affect the rest of your life? All kinds of questions there, HVM, obviously that I can't answer here. But if you are interested, we can always have a one-on-one meeting. And you can learn about that by going to the link on my link tree that says schedule with me. You'll learn all the details there. Thank you for sharing the live, Tyler. I appreciate that. Been 1 month clean. Excellent, Mr. Patel. Suraj, my new friend. Good for you. 1 month clean is not easy. 1 month clean is not easy. Great, great job. It's when they can't stop thinking about the next time they pick up the book. Yeah, that is absolutely an indication of addiction. It's like anybody, a guy or a girl who looks at the pictures or looks at the videos, thinking about it during the day, waiting to get home after work, waiting to get home after school, planning their day around the pornography. If you're planning your day around picking up the sexy book to read it, just as much of an issue. Sarah, thank you for sharing the live. Ron Jeremy says, cheaper than marriage. As someone who's been married for 22 years, I gotta tell you that's wrong. But then again, you made your screen name to be Ron Jeremy, so whatever. What are the benefits of quitting? A clear head, removal of trauma, sexual functioning in a healthy way, not objectifying people. You know, all kinds of benefits of quitting. Dee Dee Curtis, thank you for following me. I've been waiting for a slowdown here so I can jump. Hey, Josh, I'm going to get out of here. Yeah, Alf, please do. I'm going to be out of here right behind you. I got stuffs to do. Base, been on the corn every day for years. I have consumed so much it caused ED. Yeah, I need help. It's what I'm here for. It's what I do. If you'd like a one-on-one session, book one with me. We can talk all about your individual issues and how you got to where you are today, because I know this wasn't the place you thought you'd get. This wasn't the place you wanted to get. But you end up one day waking up and going, oh my God, I'm an addict. I'm a fucking addict. And I can probably help you with that. And thank you for following me also. Jack Todd 135, thank you for following me. Have you heard of an app called No Nut? I had to pay for it, quit corn. I had to pay for it to quit corn, but I've failed 14 times in the past week. Well, that's a lot of failure in 1 week. I would flat out say that that app doesn't work for you. I mean, unless you went from 28 times to 14 times, then, you know, hey, you cut it in half. But I've heard of all kinds of apps. And some of those apps have helped people. Just like therapy or coaching like I do has helped people. 12 steps can help people. Doing research, reading books, watching videos about addiction can help people. There are all kinds of ways that you can heal, but I would say this week is not. This week or this way is probably not doing it for you. You probably need to try something else, user. Probably need to try something else. I guess I cut it in half. I think so anyways. The longer gap between relapse is a good sign. If you fail 14 times in a week, you're not relapsing, friend. That's using twice a day. You don't relapse after 6 hours. You don't relapse after 12 hours. You relapse after 2 weeks. You relapse after 3 weeks. What you're doing is just called using. And you may be explaining it away to yourself as, I've reduced it, yay. P. Dermo, thank you for the rosa. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I've tried so many things, I'm desperate. You haven't tried a session with me, and I hope you will. I hope you will. All you have to do is go to the link page and go to the link tree, and that top one can tell you how to make a session with me. Longest streak has been 2 days. That's not even 50 hours. Whatever you're doing isn't working. And like Oth very smartly asks, what happened after those 2 days? Why couldn't you keep going? You sound like a chronic user. You sound like a chronic user. I got bored after my girlfriend left. Left the house, not the relationship. Yeah, does she know you do this? Does she know that you're masturbating twice a day? Does she know you're looking at porn twice a day? No, she doesn't. Of course not. And you feel guilty. And I promise you, this will be what leads to the end of your relationship unless you take care of it. She's going to find out. After 20 plus years of being I was 24 years an addict. My wife found out. I had many girlfriends along the way find out. I'm sorry, guys, but ladies are smarter than us. Ladies are, the FBI, the CIA, it should all be, Midwestern housewives, because they are the best detectives on earth. She's going to find out. She's going to find out. And every moment you don't take care of this behavior in a way that is actually taking care of it, the risk factor is getting more and more and more. I'll have to make an appointment sometime. This is so heartbreaking. Yeah, it would just be fun to talk to you someday, Ash Tinks, since you've been here for so long. I know you want to stop, user. I know you want to stop. Do you want the relationship more? Do you want the relationship more? And Oth has a good point. If this is your partner, if this is the person you want to spend your life with, if this is the person who it means more to you than anything else on earth, why don't they know about your biggest problem? Why have you hid your biggest problem? These are some questions that are important to answer too. Why are you living in the shadows? Why are you hiding? Why are you not letting her know who you are? And when that app doesn't work, and I'm sure it works for some people, but when that app doesn't work for you, what's the next thing you're going to do? Because you need to keep doing things until you figure out your formula for success. And I don't know what your formula is, but I'll tell you the 2 things I've learned over time. Number 1, people who truly recover, not just white knuckle quit for a while, but people who truly recover never do it completely alone. They have people helping them, whether it's therapists, coaches like me, whether it's sponsors like in 12-step groups, accountability partners. They have people in their life helping them. Nobody does this alone. And number two, I've never seen anybody recover by just white knuckling and that's it. You need to have multiple ways of quitting. And you need to be willing to do the hard work afterwards of finding out why you became an addict in the first place. Holy tiresome, man. Holy tiresome. Pretty sure it's easy to figure out your significant other is a gooner. Well, the thing is, if you hide it well, it's not. It's not like being a drunk. You know, when I was an alcoholic, everybody knew. I smelled like it. I stumbled. I slurred. I made no sense. Much easier to hide porn addiction. Much easier to hide porn addiction. Let her make an informed decision and find out who she's really in a relationship with. I like that. I like that. You don't say the X. I don't know what that means, but that's okay. That's okay. I want the relationship more. I really hate the corn, but I keep going back. Why? And if you don't know why, if you truly don't know why, you need to talk to somebody who will help you figure out why. That's the key to this, is figuring out what the problem is, what the urge is. What is the pain that you're still dealing with? What if you develop some problem-solving skills, some stress management skills? Will that help? Spoiler, yes. Thank you for sharing the live, Woe. Throw your phone away, get rid of all your tech, build barriers between you and the content. That is one way to do it. That is one way to do it, but are you really fixing anything? If you throw your phone away, you're not fixing your porn problem. You know, it does go beyond that. Are us still addicted? I think, are you asking if I'm still addicted? No. I entered recovery almost 11 years ago. Twice a day for a week straight, you too deep in. That's a good analysis of the situation, Jacoby. Get a flip phone, lose all your tech, read books. All good ideas. They won't heal you, but they're all good ideas to stop you from using. Not only is it unfair to your partner, but it's unfair to yourself. Well said, Oth. What were your best ways to destroy your urges? Learn about them. Learn why they were there. Learn what's causing them. It's not that I love boobs. I mean, I do, but I don't love them more than any other random guy out there. It wasn't that I was, I needed to see body parts. I needed to masturbate more than someone else. The best way to destroy my urge was to destroy the problem that caused that urge. Pornography addiction is a symptom of a different problem. Yeah, it's a problem itself, but it's a symptom of a bigger problem. But no, I am not still addicted. Do you think it's better to take it day by day? I have corn sites blocked. I don't know why. I just get the feeling. I think it's just the feeling I get from it after an hour of consuming content. Of course, you're basically getting yourself high. Those chemicals that make you feel good, they're the chemicals that every addict is after. They make you feel intoxicated. They make you feel high. That's part of the reason you do this. That's the biggest part of the reason you do this. You get those chemicals that make you feel really damn good. That's the biggest reason you consume. Not because, oh my God, I love looking at ass. Because looking at ass does something to your brain. Just the same way that gambling does something to someone else's brain. Video games does something to someone else's brain. Drinking does something to someone else's brain. It just so happened that you got saddled with porn addiction. Sorry. Trying to go cold turkey instead of gradual. It's difficult, though. I understand, P-Boogie. Very few people can. Oth says, if you want someone to love you for you, you got to share the real you first. Exactly. She's loving a version of you that's not the authentic version. And that's not fair to her. That's not fair to her. Holy crap, we got to the end of this. Thank God. I am done. So is Oth. She has to go. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you all for being here very much. I always appreciate doing this. Almost did 2 hours today. 11.6 thousand likes. That's freaking awesome. Thank you all very much. Had a good group in here as always. I will be back tomorrow. I would say tonight, but I doubt it. I will be back tomorrow. If you have any questions, DM me. If you want to schedule an appointment, go to the front page of the profile, click on the link tree, and then you can schedule that way. Ash, thank you for being here. You have a good day too. User 3689, not a problem. Haven't seen you on lately. I took a lot of the last week off. I just needed a bit of a mental reset from doing this. So yeah, I think I only did 2 last week, but I'm trying to get it back because some days you just don't feel like doing this, but this is how, we spread the information. This is how I help people. So we got to kick myself in the ass to do it. Bye off. 12K likes. I do take PayPal. I stayed another half hour after I said I was leaving. I know, it's because we're such a dynamic duo. We're like Starsky and Hutch. Or do I just add card number? However you do PayPal, that's how you do it. I also take Venmo. And for the next couple weeks, I will continue taking Zelle. Zelle has let me know that I can't keep going. I think after March 31st, they're changing things. So I'll get rid of Zelle is only a few more weeks. But yeah, however you do PayPal, however you do Venmo, those are the 2 best ways. 12.2 thousand. I don't think I've had that many more than 5-10 times on here. So that's been great. All right. If you need anything, I'm not a difficult dude to find. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you all sometime soon. Have a great one. Pushed it the wrong way.